Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben and I film videos about cars, take pictures of cars, and sometimes post stuff about cars. And today we are reviewing and going over probably the weirdest Toyota that I know of. And this thing has definitely got a pretty unique history. This specific one has got a body kit, and the owner over here, his name is Paul, and this is his Toyota Sera. So why don't you start off first by telling us kind of exactly what this car is?
Well, this is a 1990 Toyota Sera Phase 1. Toyota Sera was made between 1990 and 94. It's a pretty niche car. Between 1990 and 94, there's about 14,000 of these produced.
And this car, if you guys obviously hadn't noticed, sorry to cut you off, but this is a JDM car. So this was only produced for the Japanese market. This car never came to the United States.
There is actually 3 left-hand drive Seras I know that were sold in Singapore because you can't have a right-hand drive car in Singapore. It's a pretty standard car, has silica brakes, Paseo engine platform, transmission. It's a very reliable car. I bought it in August of 2021 and it's been the most reliable car I've owned. It's been a great car.
And then here is the big thing that the Sera is known for. There you have it, guys. These often are referred to as McLaren doors, but
the fun fact is, the person who designed the doors on this went up, then designed the doors on the McLaren F1 and P1.
Yeah, so these silly doors that McLaren is known for first came on this silly car, the Toyota Sera.
Yeah, that's pretty goofy. I remember going to a car meet and parking next to a McLaren 725S or 675S or something like that. He was like not even looking at my car or anything, and until I opened up the door, he's like, "Oh wow, this thing's pretty cool." Always gets attention no matter where it goes. I can't even go to the gas station without getting tagged in something.
So why don't you tell us how you picked up this car initially, how much you paid for it, where'd you get it, and like...
So I have a friend named Ali and Jordan that have a Honda Integra SJ, which is like a 95 Civic that's from Japan. And I was really fond of the right-hand drive car. Then I started looking around for right-hand drive cars, and I called up at Boki USA, and he had a Mira. Then he sent me a picture of this, and I was just like, what the hell is that white thing? And the next thing you know, I went to go look at it and put a deposit down on it.
So how much did you pay for this? And then considering the rarity, how much do you think you would expect to pay for one of these kinds of cars?
Well, I paid $11,600 after tax. That's licensing out the door because he's an importer and a licenser in-house. But you probably looked to spend between $9 and $14 on a good Sera.
So that's honestly not too bad for a completely unique, it almost looks like a kit car, especially with this aftermarket body kit. So this...
Oh yeah, that's something we didn't...
This has got side skirts, front and rear bumpers, so it doesn't look exactly like this when it's stock.
So the front bumper of this is a Quest Power from Japan. They made them in the early 1990s, but then they discontinued them. So this has a Quest Power front bumper. I have no idea what the side skirts are and what the rear bumper is. It's kind of a hodgepodge of a kit.
Yeah, and then it's also got a super funny exhaust. If we come around here to the rear, you can see he actually has one of the exhaust tips blocked off with a little plushie.
Yeah, it's a funny story about that. I owned the car for about a week, and my friend came over to take a look at the car, and he walked behind the car. It was just like, when it was running, and he's just like, that's fake. And it's just a fake exhaust pipe, because Seras don't come with dual exhaust because it has a weird axle back where it has a live axle in the back, so you can't really run a exhaust.
Yeah, so that's another kind of funny thing about this car, but this exhaust is aftermarket, right?
Yes, it's what's it called, the Yoshi something main factory exhaust, and then I ended up buying the rest of the stuff from the header that's underneath and under the engine bay at Walmart.com for a 92 Paseo.
Yeah, this thing is super funny looking, looks like a little like jelly bean almost, and what's super unique is all of this glass. This entire rear hatch here is all a single ginormous piece.
Yeah, I need to get new door struts. Usually when you pop that, it pops open with force.
But this is a just ginormous piece of glass in the rear here. It reminds me of the Porsche 944, which Danny owns and I filmed a couple of times, but
I think I remember seeing that car.
Yeah, that's a weird piece of glass. And then so are these doors. Since they have the McLaren style, this glass actually wraps around to the top of the door here. Okay, so let's get into the interior of this thing, because the thing also has a super weird interior, and it's also a very unique driving experience, having this giant piece of glass above your head while you're driving the car.
It's really cool at night, because usually with standard cars with like a sunroof, it's going above your head right here, versus you can see the whole view right there like a bay window. it's kind of weird. You're literally driving a greenhouse down the road. Oh, and during the summertime, every Sera came with standard with air conditioning. If it doesn't work, you're miserable because you're in a greenhouse.
Man, I can imagine that, just the sun beating down on you through this giant pane of glass right here.
Last August, when I went to Surf City with my friend James, he's a little person, and the time we got back, he was red as a tomato because I didn't put the sunshades on. I had the sunshades on when we went there, because if you pan over, it has shades that go in right here, but I took them off on the way home, and the time we got back, he was roasted.
So why don't we talk about some unique features of this interior, as well as some of the mods that you've done or it even came with.
Well, the first mod, since I'm 6 foot tall, I couldn't, it had a bigger steering wheel, so I had to get a 350mm wheel, and then the car fit me really, really well. The classic, the 90s Toyota ball chiller, or as on Instagram, it's the gooch cooler. If you can probably pan down there and look at it.
Yeah, this is super funny. It's on a couple old 90s JDM cars. So,
it works fantastic. It works fantastic during summertime.
Yep, and this is actually a 4-seater, so...
Yeah, it's a 2+2.
You got seats back here, again, under this ginormous piece of glass right here. And then, tell me, there was a sound system that came with this, right?
Yes, I believe it was the SLSS sound system or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I might be getting the pronunciation wrong on that. But it essentially had a big boombox back here, and it had casual mode and funky mode. With casual mode, it just played music going that way, but when you put it in a funky mode, it would actuate and make the sound bounce off the glass to make it sound differently.
Oh, that's pretty unique.
I thought it was pretty stupid at first to tell somebody in my Sera crew has one, and he sent me a picture of it working. I'm like, I take it back. I take it back. I want it.
And then this is an aftermarket seat that it came with, correct?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it had a different seat in it from when it was in Japan and different wheels. And then they hodgepodge threw the old steering wheel back on, put a different seat in, and sold it at the auctions or something similar.
Yeah, oh, and we actually forgot to talk about the wheels when going over the exterior. So what are these wheels exactly?
These are ITC's Ray Sebring wheels. I bought them from my friend Thomas. I was gonna buy some rep wheels, and then he's just like, don't do that, and he brought me these, and I liked them a lot.
Yeah, I think they fit the car really well because they're kind of unique, and they've got like a big polished lip, and they stick out. So and they also work pretty well here.
Yeah, and then the theme, yeah, it does work really well with a 1-inch spacer, but this kind of became the theme as with gold and red. As we can move over to the engine compartment. The whole theme of this car is like Persian Prince with gold and white. Valve covers powder coated. Walmart.com headers, because that's the only place you can buy headers for a Paseo. Other than that, it's plain Jane stock. It's a high compression Paseo engine essentially, because the only difference between this and a Paseo engine is I think it's like 40 psi compression, and in a Paseo you get like 93 to 97 horsepower. In this you get like 103, a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is the 5E FHE engine right here.
Popular swap for these is you get the turbo GT engine and you put them in this, except those are a 1.8 and this is a 1.5. It's a Toyota, it'll take care of you if you take care of it.
And then, did you do the oil catch can?
Yes, I also did the oil catch can because she has a little bit of blow by.
And then other than that, it's pretty much completely stock in here. I see you got a little sock on your reservoir for your master, and then it came with coilovers, right? It came with these Blitz?
With the Blitz Red Racing coilovers on it. Nice. I only had them, but I had to have them get them adjusted a few times, because even Ben was with me when we hit that monstrous pothole and probably got airborne. Yeah, I had to soften them up a lot because it was really stiff. You went down the road, you'd be bouncing. And now after I got it all tuned and I got the alignment all done, it handles really good.
Yeah, and then you also did a fantastic job detailing this entire engine bay, including the underside of the hood, which I think a lot of people forget.
Yeah, a lot of people forget. I think that took me a whole day with just a whole bottle of Honda Bright, and even my friend Thomas came and helped me, which is that's on the list for this car, along with a manual transmission swap.
Yeah, a manual transmission in this would be pretty unique.
Only thing I need is the transmission and the clutch kit now.
And then just to go over the interior a little bit more, there'll be some B-roll, but this thing has got a pretty funky gauge cluster. The numbers and the text in this thing are kind of just as weird as the car. Yeah,
it's very strange. It's a very 90s font in there.
Yep. And then the door handles are kind of angled so you can easily grab them when the door's, you know, tilted up like this. And then, you know, little bits of Japanese writing around. And then it almost is giving Mark IV Supra.
It has a lot of Mark IV Supra parts on it actually too.
Really?
Yes, the steering wheel hub's a Mark IV Supra hub. If you come up here, these look familiar.
Oh, are those all Mark IV Supra?
Yep, that's a Mark IV Super Light.
Man, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, it is super weird. I thought about getting tinted ones, but then it fits the car with the Japanese clear lenses.
I can't believe how many like unique parts are on this car, considering like, you know, usually when a company makes a weird car, they kind of like take a hodgepodge of parts from a bunch of different cars and then just like send something out. But this is like every single thing on this car is unique. Like those doors aren't on anything else, this bumper's not on anything else. I mean, it's an aftermarket one, but
oh, another fun fact about the Toyota Sera, it's one of the first production cars with projector headlights.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Because this was made in 1990 and it has the first projector headlight. It's that projector bulb right there.
Okay guys, we're gonna go for a ride in the Toyota Sera. Doors go up.
You can step on
Super weird getting into this thing. I've ridden in this thing a couple times and it never is not weird to like grab a door above you. Feels like your head's gonna get chopped off. Now this thing looks super small from the outside and it honestly is kind of deceiving when you're inside because there's so much glass. It almost feels bigger than it actually is. But obviously guys, we're still in a super small compact Toyota car. And this thing is not classified as a K car, correct?
Yeah, but when I first bought it, I thought it was, but then the guy educated me. It has to have under 1,000 cc's to be classified as a K car.
Yeah, and what is this, like a 1.5 then?
It has a 1.5 liter.
Yeah. Yeah, super funky having glass above your head and to the side of you. And then it's got a super like kind of short, wide windshield. It goes really far down, it feels like. And then you've got this giant pane of glass behind you right here.
It reminds me of the interior of a CRX really well because you don't have any blind spots.
Yeah, it's just the entire top of this car is glass. I can see how can this be like so hot in the summer.
Yeah, just good thing the air conditioning
melting.
works.
Yeah, very good thing.
I have a friend in Florida with a Toyota Sera, and it literally, he says it's almost impossible to drive it during hot days in Florida because his evaporator core is bad.
Yeah, I could see that. I would not drive this in the summer.
I'd cut a hole in the back and put a one of those small air conditioners back there.
Your sun visors are like up here between the passenger and the driver.
Yeah, similar to like a Model X.
Super funny. And then the sunshades you were talking about, they go over here and then kind of meet up right here, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so they don't actually block your window, but they block all this glass above you. Jeez, looks like we're going warp speed right now. This looks so funky.
Warp speed. Oh, that does look pretty cool.
Yeah, super weird driving experience.
You also can do that. Get rid of that wind noise. Yeah, you can also open up the doors on the highway.
Jesus. Now you've replaced the door struts a couple times, right?
Yes, that's the only part on Amazon you can buy for this thing. Only part.
That's super funky. They're not specific to this car, are they?
No, I believe they use them on different Lamborghini kits and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But it's the same bolt pattern, same length. The driver's one is slightly longer than that one because the door opens slightly more.
Yeah, that's also pretty cool. It's got an asymmetric design. So the driver's side, because you're getting in and out more often, the door opens up more than the passenger side door. And then I know everyone asks, but like, how long did it take you to adjust to, you know, driving on the right side of the car? How many times did you open up this door thinking that you were gonna get into your car?
The funny thing is, I would say probably 2 weeks it took me to adjust, but I never walked over on that side. Every time I switched over to my other car, I would do the opposite. I would try to get in on the passenger side.
That's pretty funny. And then also with right-hand drive cars, your turn signal and your wipers are switched. So I think that's honestly probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Doors go up. Gotta put your hand here and get out, watch for the side skirt, don't bonk your head. And then this heavy door, just glass. Did it close all the way? Okay. And so you've owned this car have you owned it for over a year now, actually?
Getting close to 2 years now.
Wow. So after 2 years, kind of what are your thoughts on this car, and then what kind of future ideas do you have for it?
Definitely the manual transmission is on the list, and maybe adding a little bit more power, because after driving the CRX and switching over to this thing, it needs more than 100 horsepower.
Yeah, and speaking of the CRX, guys, Paul also has a CRX with basically a fully built engine that's broken, basically right after he built it, but that thing is super cool and there'll be a whole video on that on another date. So look forward to that. If you like weird and funky cars that Paul owns, what do you have for the future of this car other than the manual transmission? You do
Possibly putting a turbo kit on it, some type, because it's already high compression Paseo engine, so I might be able to just take the block out, make it built for low compression, and add some boost to get the compression up and get more horsepower out of it. Because that's usually what you do with the B20s and stuff. You want to get a low comp and then you put tons of boost on it.
Huge shout out to Paul for letting me come out and film this thing. We'll get a few driving shots and a few stills, but other than that, that's pretty much the Toyota Sera. Probably the weirdest car that Toyota ever made, unless you know another one.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So if you guys like this car, you like Paul, I'll leave his Instagram links in the description below. He goes to a lot of the car shows and a lot of the meets around this area, so if you see this thing, take a picture, make sure to tag him. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for showing up. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this. If you are in the Vancouver or PDX area, hit me up. I can do a video on your car if you'd like. That's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much. Again, peace.